Did you know there's another way to animate static meshes like doors, windows, and other objects in your Unreal Engine 5 projects? The conventional way is to use the timeline function in Blueprints. I know you'd like to know more, so let me show you how. Before we begin, I'm going to assume you've installed the Epic Games Launcher and the latest version of Unreal Engine 5. We'll start by creating a blank project. To do this, go to the top section of the Epic Games Launcher window, navigate to the Library tab and click on it. Once the Library tab is open, you should see a section just below the Library tab button called Engine Versions. This section shows all the Unreal Engine versions you've installed or highlighted for install on your computer. I'm going to be using version 5.6.1, which is the latest publicly available version of Unreal Engine 5 when I recorded this video. Look for version 5.6.1 and click on the Launch button. The Epic Games Launcher window should automatically close and a new window should pop up. This window is called the Unreal Project Browser. This is where you can quickly select any project you've previously worked on or create a new project from preset project templates provided by Epic Games. On the left side of the window, you should see four preset project templates called Games, Film/Video and Live Events, Automotive Product Design and Manufacturing, and Simulation. We're going to select the Architecture project template. Select the Architecture preset with your left mouse button to reveal other subsections under the Architecture project templates preset. The blank template within the Architectural project preset should be automatically selected for you. If you wish to use other templates, you can select one of the other four available templates. With the blank template selected, go to the bottom of the window and left-click on the folder icon to the right of the project location text box. This will bring up the location where you can save your project. Just to the right of the folder icon is the project name. Add your desired project name to the text box and left-click on the blue Create button in the lower left corner of the Unreal Engine project browser window. Wait for Unreal Engine to compile all the shaders and other things you'll need on the project. Now that the Unreal Engine editor is loaded, the first thing we'll need to do is to create some folders for all of our content. Go to the lower left corner of the Unreal Engine editor window and left-click on the Content Drawer button to reveal the Content Drawer window. Select the content folder if it's not already selected. On the right side of the Content Drawer window, use your mouse button to right-click an empty area to reveal a new menu window. With this new menu window open, locate the Create Folder button with your mouse cursor and left-click on it. A new folder should automatically appear in the Content Drawer window with highlighted text. Change the name of the new folder to static_meshes. We're going to create a new folder by repeating the same steps we used to create the static_meshes folder. We'll call this new folder Blueprints. We're now going to import the static meshes we need to create our door animation. Double-click on the static_meshes folder to reveal its content in the Content Drawer window. The folder should be empty. At the top of the Content Drawer window, look for a button called Import and click on it. A window should pop up. We'll browse to the location where we have the static mesh files that we want to import. Select the files you need and click on the Open button in the lower left corner of the window to complete the import process. The next thing we're going to do is to create the blueprint actor that is going to be a container for our door before creating the final interaction logic to control the opening of the door in real time. Now, open the Content Drawer window. With the Content Drawer window opened, look for the Blueprints folder on the left side of the window and select it. The folder should appear empty. With the folder still highlighted and selected on the left side of the Content Drawer window, right-click an empty area on the right side of the window. A new pop-up menu should show up. Move towards the top of the menu window with your mouse cursor until you find a button called Blueprint Class. Click on the Blueprint Class button to reveal the Pick Parent Class window. This window will show you all the common Blueprint parent classes available for selection. Our goal for this tutorial is to focus on the Actor class. At the top of the Pick Parent Class window, you'll find a button called Actor, listed under a drop-down menu called Common. With the left mouse button, click on the button called Actor. The Pick Parent Class window should automatically close, and a new icon should appear in the Blueprints folder within the Content Drawer window. With your left mouse button, double-click on the newly created Blueprint Actor icon to reveal the Blueprint Editor window. This is where we're going to assemble the meshes and logic required to trigger our door animation in real time. Since this is a bite-sized tutorial, I won't be getting into a full breakdown of the Blueprint Editor window. If you're looking to take your understanding to the next level and you're not afraid to put in the work to becoming more proficient at using Unreal Engine 5, I have an upcoming masterclass that you'll definitely be interested in. The link is in the description of this video. Before creating our blueprint meshes and logic, we're going to do something that will make the creation process a little faster. Open the Content Drawer window and select the static underscore meshes folder. Once the folder is selected, you should see some assets within the static underscore meshes folder on the right side of the Content Drawer window. We're going to select the static mesh asset called sm underscore main underscore entry underscore door. The reason for selecting this static mesh actor in the Content Drawer window will become apparent in a few seconds. Now, let's go back to our Blueprint Editor window. We'll go to the top right section of the Blueprint Editor window and we're going to select the root of this blueprint actor. It should have the word self next to it. Look for the green plus sign button with the word add next to it and click on it. This button should reveal a drop-down list of other buttons we can click on. With the drop-down list still active, find the static mesh button and click on it. The static mesh button we just selected is called a blueprint component. Remember when we initially opened the content drawer and selected one of our static mesh assets? Because we did that, the static mesh component name and the asset required is automatically generated for us. If we didn't follow that extra step initially, we would have to type the name of the component ourselves and go over to the right side of the Blueprint Editor window, look for the static mesh drop-down field and add our desired static mesh asset manually. Be mindful when you do this though. You may accidentally add the wrong static mesh asset to your Blueprint static mesh component. Now, let's add our last static mesh asset as a static mesh component to our Blueprint actor. We'll do this by repeating the same method we used earlier in this tutorial. Let's open the Content Drawer and select the static underscore meshes folder again and look for the right asset on the right side of the Content Drawer window. We're going to select the static mesh actor called sm underscore wood underscore door underscore panel. Let's head back to the Blueprint Editor window again and select the root of our blueprint actor. With the root selected, click on the green plus sign button with the word add next to it. Within the Reveal drop-down list menu, we'll select static mesh from the list and our blueprint component should automatically get populated like it did earlier. Because the static mesh asset isn't in its right position, we're going to move it manually. With the left mouse button, we'll click and hold the red arrow at the base of our static mesh component and drag it until we've placed it at the right spot. We may need to turn the grid snap controls off in order for us to get fine-tuned position movements. Once we've found the right spot for our second static mesh component, we need to parent it to our first static mesh component. We can do this by simply dragging our sm underscore wood underscore door underscore panel component on top of the sm underscore main underscore entry underscore door component. Let's now add the last component we need to our blueprint actor. Before we do this, we'll make sure we select the root of our blueprint actor. Click on the green plus sign button at the top of the Blueprint Editor window again to reveal the drop-down list menu. Within the drop-down list menu, look for the actor sequence component and select it. I am going to leave the default name as is, but you can rename it if you prefer to do so. Once our actor sequence has been added as a component to our blueprint, we're going to select it, and then we'll go to the right side of the Blueprint Editor window, look for a button called Open in Tab, and click on it. If this button is hidden, all we need to do is look for a sequence drop-down menu, click on it, and the Open in Tab button should appear. Please note, the sequencer we see here is not the same as the level sequencer actor. The sequencer we're working with at the moment only works within the blueprint actor. Let's now go to the actor sequencer window and rename it appropriately. We're going to call it bp underscore door underscore 01 underscore anim underscore open. We're doing this because we'd like to know which animation we want to reference when we start creating the blueprint logic. With the actor sequencer renamed and selected, click on the plus sign button with the word track next to it. A new drop-down menu will show up with a list of other buttons to click on. We'll move our mouse cursor over the option called Component. Once the component option is highlighted or clicked, it should reveal a drop-down list of some components that look familiar to us. With the actor sequencer component still highlighted, we're going to move our mouse cursor over to the new drop-down menu that just popped up. We're going to look for the component called sm underscore wood underscore door underscore panel on the list and click on it. The sm underscore wood underscore door panel component should appear in the actor sequencer. If we take a look at the sm underscore wood underscore door underscore panel component that was just added, we're going to see a plus sign to the right of it. With our left mouse button, we're going to click on it. A new pop-up menu will appear. We'll go to the very top of this new menu that just popped up and look for the category called Tracks. Under Tracks, we should see an option called Transform. With the left mouse button, we'll select the Transform option to add it to our sequencer. It should appear under the component called sm underscore wood underscore door underscore panel. Let's now go to the top left corner of our Blueprint Editor window, look for a yellow question mark button with the word compile next to it and click on it. This will help compile some of the logic we recently completed in our blueprint. Since we now have a transform track under our sm underscore wood underscore door underscore panel component, we'll need to animate its rotation. There are two steps we need to take in order for us to accomplish our immediate goal. The first thing we need to do is to left-click on the drop-down arrow to the left of our transform track to reveal its components. Within the drop-down list, under the transform track, look for rotation. Once you find the rotation component under the transform track, left-click on the drop-down arrow next to it. It should reveal three more components: roll, pitch, and yaw. The component we are interested in is called yaw. This is because this component correlates to the rotation about the z-axis. The second thing we need to do is to set some keyframes that will represent our rotation animation. We are going to set two keyframes, one at 0.00 seconds and the other at 3.00 seconds. Once we set the two keyframes, Unreal Engine will take care of the interpolation of the 2 points for us. Now, let's set our keyframes. We'll first make sure the slider for our timeline is set at 0.00. If you've accidentally moved it to a different point, you can simply drag it back by clicking and holding the top red portion of the timeline with your left mouse button and dragging it back to the beginning of the timeline. Alternatively, you can go to the lower left corner of the actor sequencer window and click on the To Front button, which is to the right of the green Set Playback Start Point button. Once we've set our timeline slider start point to 0.00, we'll go to our yaw component, which is within our rotation component, and select it. With the yaw component selected, look for the plus sign button to the right of the word yaw and click on it once to set a keyframe at 0.00. The next thing we need to do is to move our timeline slider to our desired animation endpoint and set a keyframe there. So we'll move our slider to the point marked 3.00. Once the slider is there, we'll go over to the yaw component, enter a value of -90, and then click on the plus sign button to the right of it to set our final keyframe. With all of these steps completed, the next thing we need to do is to check our door animation by playing it back on the timeline. To do this, go to the lower left corner of the actor sequencer window and click on the play button. To loop our animation playback, we'll simply click on the forward arrow button to the right of the red Set Playback End button. We are now ready to write the final logic for our BP underscore door underscore 01 blueprint actor using Unreal Engine 5's visual scripting. Because I'd like for us to quickly test the functionality of our door animation at runtime, we're going to write our blueprint logic in something called the level blueprint. The level blueprint essentially serves as an area where we can write scripts that can perform global actions across a specific level in Unreal Engine. Now, let's open our level blueprint. To do this, we'll go to the top right section of the Unreal Engine editor window, look for a flow diagram-like button, which will be to the left of a clapperboard button. With the left mouse button, we'll click on the drop-down arrow next to the flow diagram button to reveal its content. Once its contents is revealed, we'll look for a section called Level Blueprints and select the Open Level Blueprint option just below the Level Blueprint section. A new window will open with a grid-like area called Event Graph. This is where we're going to add all the nodes we need for our door opening animation. Before we get into the weeds of things, let me give a brief explanation of what we're about to do. Earlier in this tutorial, we created a blueprint actor called BP underscore door underscore 01. Inside our blueprint actor, we added all the static meshes we need and an actor sequence which we're using to describe what type of animation we'd like to see on our door. Because we are going to place our BP underscore door underscore 01 blueprint actor into our current level, we need to add the scripting needed to control the door animation into our level blueprint. And in order for us to be able to do that, we're going to need a reference to our BP underscore door underscore 01 blueprint actor through something called a variable. Let's now begin the scripting process. With the level blueprint window still active, we'll go to the left side of the window, look for a button called Variables and click on the plus sign button to the right of it. This will automatically create a variable for us and it will be a Boolean variable type by default. We're going to rename the variable as BP underscore door underscore 01 and change the variable type to an object reference. To change the variable type, we'll click on the Boolean button. A new pop-up menu will show up. At the top of this new menu, there should be a search box where we can enter text. We're going to search for our BP underscore door underscore 01 by typing it in the search box. Once we type in our text and it matches, we'll see our BP underscore door underscore 01 under object types. We'll move our mouse cursor over to it to reveal another pop-up menu with 4 items: object reference, class reference, soft object reference, and soft class reference. We're going to select the object reference option. The next thing we need to do is to click on the closed eye button next to our BP door 01 object reference. Let's now left click and drag our BP underscore door underscore 01 variable into the middle of our event graph. When we let go of the mouse button, we should see 2 options: get BP underscore door underscore 01 and set BP underscore door underscore 01. We're going to select the get BP underscore door underscore 01 option. In an empty area of our event graph, we'll click on the right mouse button to reveal a pop-up window called All Actions for this blueprint. We'll type O keyboard in the search box at the top of the pop-up window to reveal the O keyboard binding. A new node will appear in our event graph with 3 options on it: pressed, released, and key. Let's now go back to our get BP underscore door underscore 01 node, look for a round hole at the front tip of the node, click, hold, and drag off of this node with our left mouse button to reveal a wire-like connector. Once we release our mouse button, a pop-up menu will appear. In the search box at the top of this menu, we'll type play, look for an option called play sequence, and select it. 2 new nodes should now appear in our event graph. We'll now go over to our O keyboard node, grab the press connector and connect it to the play sequence node as shown. Let's now go to the top left corner of our level blueprint editor window, look for the yellow question mark button, and click on it to compile the script we just wrote. We'll go to our level, open the content drawer, look for our BP underscore door underscore 01 blueprint actor and drag it into the level. We'll adjust its position in the level so that it is close to the origin. Let's hit the green play button at the top of our Unreal Engine editor window to test our runtime logic for the door. We'll get close to the door and hit the O key on our keyboard. It looks like it didn't work. Let's hit the red stop button at the top of the editor window. We've now gotten a message log window with some errors. We can fix this by going back to our level blueprint. Here in our level blueprint, we'll select our get BP underscore door underscore 01 node, go to the right side of the level blueprint editor window and look for a section called default value. Within the default value section, we'll see a drop-down box with the word none in it. We'll click on the drop-down arrow. It should reveal a pop-up window with an option to select our BP underscore door underscore 01 blueprint actor. We'll select it and go to the top left corner of the level blueprint window. Click on the yellow question mark button to compile our changes to the script. Let's now go to our level again and hit the green play button at the top of the editor window. We'll get close to our door and hit the O key on our keyboard. The animation is now playing as designed, which means our script works. The next logical question we need to ask ourselves now is this: how do I use this on my complicated project? That's a great question. Consider this. What if you needed to animate the growth of a forest filled with trees like you see in this video? How would you solve that problem? The answer is right in front of you. The actor sequence in Unreal Engine 5 is a great tool that has many use cases. In the next tutorial on this channel, I will give you a step-by-step guide on how to use the actor sequence in conjunction with some clever blueprint scripting to generate a runtime for a tree growth animation that you can use on your next Unreal Engine 5 cinematic shots. If you find this video intriguing and you'd like to take your Unreal Engine 5 architecture or visualization skills to the next level, I am putting a masterclass together you won't want to miss. If you join the waiting list now, you'll be glad you did. Check out the link in the description of this video to find out more. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.